We should have Siyata Dishmaya to be Mavar here. Shleimus Ha'adam we learned. Sheyakol b'shneim ava v'yira. We're looking for Shleimus, and the Shleimus is that we should be a beautiful, perfect combination of Ahava and Yira. Chesed and Gvura. Chesed and Din. So, Adam, because let's remind ourselves, Bereshis bara Elokim es hashamayim ves haaretz. Hashamayim is chesed. Chesed means that you're out of your box, you're unlimited, total hispashtus, and the total hispashtus is called shamayim. Shamayim is bliso. Aretz is a limited thing. We know that there's limitations of the Aretz are. It's finite, it's not infinite. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu was Vayra Shamayim, Es HaShamayim, Ve'es HaAretz, so he was Vayra, the whole world, the ingredients of the entire world, as we understand it, is a combination of Chesed and Gvura. Not that there's a spiritual aspect to the world which is beyond what we see, beyond the scientific world, but the world itself, mamish. Like here's the visual. The visual is that Bereshis bara Elokim es hashamayim ves haaretz. Let's do this meditation together. Haaretz haisatayu v'vayu v'choshech al pnei taham. The world was dead. The world was abyss. The world was choshech, tohu vavohu, al pnei kol hatahom. Something was there, but it was dead. We're talking, at some point there was yesh me'ayin, but at the point that we get into the story, there was tohu vavohu. Gam kein mashu. Choshech, dead. And then HaKadosh Baruch Hu brings this shamayim into the aretz. It's like animating, putting life in. Little by little, everything starts to get color, and everything starts to move, and everything starts to become a real world as we know it. The world as we know it. Colored the world, enlivened the world, animated the world. So there was a combination of Shamayim v'aretz. Shamayim was so alive. Wasn't tohu vavohu. Shamayim was so infinite. Shamayim was so beautiful, so lichtik, and the Shamayim and the Aretz come together. So what's happening is now the Aretz becomes alive. The world is alive.
What was alive about the Shamayim?
It's just unlimited.
That could be tohu
connected to
vavohu.
HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Shemayim is connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In other words, this was Hashem's world. Hashem is Vashamayim. Yosher Vashamayim. Look, Bereshis bara Elokim es Hashamayim. Hashamayim is Gematria 395. Neshama is Gematria. Good guess. 395. All right. Hazidah Hashabayim. Sishva Aretz. That Shabayim, Rashi, the Hazidah is the place which is closer to Hashem. Hazidah Hashabayim, Lashon of Hazada. Sishva Haaretz. So that the Shabayim was enlivening the Chesed. This is a very, very important yesod in Kabbalah. That every sphera is enlivened by the sphere before it. So there's chesed giving kof to Gvur. It's every sphera. It's an important yesod. You ask yourself, why is this an important yesod? You'll say it's an important yesod. That every sphera is the spherois before it plus. That's the way it goes. So the Shemayim gives koach to the arts. Gracious Baruch is Hashemayim v'sa'arts. So when you have Chesed and Gvura, what's missing? Tiferes. Because if Tiferes is the perfect balance of the perfect mizug of Shemayim v'arts. Is that sitter there? So let's be mefarish here. if we Lafi as much as we can understand, which is not that much, but a little bit more than we don't understand. So when we talk about the description of Shabbos, Lekel Asher Shavas Mikol Habasim. Here's to God. Asher Shavas Mikol Habasim, which stopped doing the Sheishis Yimei Habrashis. Sheishis Yimei Havaisa. Lokel, this is for Hashem. Asher Shavas Mikol Habasim. This is what we have to say. By Yoim HaShavi, that it came the seventh day, His Allah. Wow. Who is His Allah? Hashem. His Allah. V'yashav al kisei kevoida. And he sits on the kisei hakavod. Meaning, Kivyachol. Kadosh Baruch Hu was Yored L'toch HaOlam to build the Olam. So he built the Olam in construction. So, but the world is built on Yom HaShvi. The world is done. Everything is done. Adam is done. Everything is there. Right? And it was a new Bria. So what does HaKadosh Baruch Hu do when he rests? Yisala v'yoshav al kisei kavayda. Tiferes ata l'yom ha'menucha. And he gives Tiferes to the Yom HaShabbos. Tiferes, because the whole Sheishis Yimei Habaisa was comprised of Chesed and Gvura. Shemayim v'aretz. Hashemayim v'aretz. So, where do you get the balance? Where does it all come to? Where does it all come to be meaningful? Where does it all? When do the lights go on? Tiferes. Tiferes until the Yom HaMenucha. Point one. That Shabbos is Tiferes. Bria is Shemayim v'aretz. Shabbos is Chesed and Gvura. Shabbos is Tiferes. Tiferes Atta. What does Atta mean? Cloaked. Tiferes cloaked the Shabbos. Cloaked the Shabbos. Point two. Oneg Kara L'Yoim HaShabbos. And then Oneg, he called the Shabbos. Shabbos itself is Mishabeach v'Oimer, Mizmor Shir L'Yoim HaShabbos. Mizmor Shir L'Yoim HaShabbos. So, Toiv L'Hoidois L'Hashem. Hence comes in the Mizmor Shir L'Yoim HaShabbos. Pointed out many times that Mizmor Shir L'Yoim HaShabbos should be a Mizmor L'chaira about what happened on Shabbos. Very little, nothing about Shabbos there. You know, the other Mizmor have something to do with the day of the week. Mizmor Shir L'Yoim HaShabbos. Toiv L'Hoidois L'Hashem. Okay. Zamer L'Shem Chel. You're supposed to give Haidah. It's everything to do with Shabbos because it's all about what we're supposed to do with the Sheishis Yimei Habaisa. What do we do with the Shemayim and the Aretz when we have all this raw material? The answer is we make Tiferes. We make Tiferes. We make Shabbos. Shabbos is Tiferes. And that Tiferes is somehow called Oneg. So we have, this is what we need to try to be mavara over here. We have Oneg, Tiferes, Shabbos. That's the three that are synonyms. Tiferes Karli Shabbos. Tiferes Otel Yom HaMenucha. Oneg Karli Shabbos. And Shabbos. Shabbos Gufa.
And we.
And we. The Adam, Shabbos begins to us, begins our work. Adam is created on Erev Shabbos. Adam is created on Erev Shabbos. What do we do on Shabbos? Mizmar Shir, L'Yoyim Shabbos. Let's sing the song of Shabbos. Toiv L'Hoidos. Tzadik HaTover Yifrach. Every single pasuk is beautiful. Nice, concise, and perfect. What the Shabbos is. So let's say this for a minute. We'll go back to Shabbos in a minute. He quotes here. Some of the quotes here, very important. Oneg hu l'mala me'akol. Oneg, again, we think of Oneg as Shalom. Oneg hu l'mala me'akol. Moshe Isa b'Sefer Yetzirah ein b'toiva l'mala me'oyin. Sefer Yetzirah, the very first Sefer of Kabbalah, maybe written by Avraham Avinu, tells us that ein b'toiva l'mala me'oyin. When it comes to toiva, ein l'mala me'oyin. I'll tell you the whole Sefer Yetzirah. The whole Sefer Yetzirah in that sense is the Sefer Yetzirah says like this. The Chaf Beis Aswan was 22 Oisiyos Baras Ha'olam. Kodesh Baruch Hu created the world with Chaf Beis Oisiyos. Explained a number of times that what does it mean Hashem created the world with Oisiyos? What does it mean? It's a nice thing for an artist, to have little olives and vases running around on the canvas. It means that we're going from an ethereal, ruchnius world, a world which we can't understand, l'malo me'hasogasenu, to a world which can somehow be seen under a microscope. The very, very first, a world that can be analyzed, a world that can be used, a world that can be created and invented, and the very, very first emanation, manifestation of anything that we could understand at all is Oisiyos. If I have, just think about it in our cognitive way. If we have a thought, we have a thought process, we have a feeling that gets involved, so things go from our mind to our heart, or our heart to our mind, sometimes skips the mind, sometimes skips the heart, but it's supposed to go like that. It's supposed to go from your heart into your mind and be processed. But it's not something that anybody else understands, or even we understand clearly, until it starts coming out as an os. Ba, be. Once it can start coming out with the peh, so it has surah. So the taking something in the mashal which is completely ruchnius, which is a regesh, it's a ruchnius. Like sometimes you don't want to bring it out into Oisiyos. Like the Hasidim, when they sing Zviras on Shabbos, very seldom put words to it because they don't want to be magashev the Zviras, because the Zviras on Shabbos of the Baal Shem Tov is a function of the lave. It's not a function of the rosh of the peh. It's a different place. So have a niggin. So the niggin of the neshama is coming out as first Oisiyos. So it's like a little kid, ba, ba, be, starting with Oisiyos. The Oisiyos don't make a word yet. You have to take Oisiyos and you have to make a word. This is called in Sefer Yetzirah Lashon Tziruf Oisiyos. You're mitzaref the Oisiyos. So the Olam is nivra, says the Sefer Yetzirah b'chaf beis Oisiyos. The Oisiyos are kind of random. But then it becomes up to the Adam, says the Sefer Yetzirah, to take the Oisiyos and do something with it. Isarusa de La'ela is the creation of the Oisiyos. Who takes those Oisiyos and makes them into words? Who says that? Who takes those Oisiyos and makes the words into paragraphs, paragraphs into concepts? Who does that? Adam.
We do.
Adam. That's our police. We're taking the Sheishis Yimei Habaisa, and we're taking it and we're making something with it. Giving it kind of back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Putting it back on that level.
But the whole Yetzirah before it comes to man. So
for sure.
Sheishis Yimei Reishis is...
We're in the world of Asiya only.
So the Oisiyos are actually being used before that, otherwise there'd be nothing created.
Correct. But the creation itself can go either way. What does it mean to say? It says the Sefer Yetzirah like this. I'll give you an example. Example is, Hashem created an Eyen, has an energy, created a Nun, has an energy, created an Eyen, a Gimel, has an energy. Altogether equals Nega. Says the Sefer Yetzirah, Ein b'toiva yoser min ha'oleg, ve'ein b'ra garua min ha'nega. Same oisius. There's nothing better than Oneg, and there's nothing worse than Nega. Now, here's the thing. It all depends what you do with the oisius. Simple lesson. We don't have to be mekubalim over here. Simple lesson. You know, like one person has tzaros and becomes despondent from the tzaros, eingesetzt, and another person takes leaven and makes lemonade. Okay. Depends what you do with the oisius. Kadosh Baruch will give you the oisius. You want an Oneg, you want a Nega. Up to you. Nice. It's how can we understand that the same, if every ois has an energy to it, how can we understand that the same energy that goes into Nega goes into Oneg? The same Eyen Nun Gimel, the same Gimel Nun Gimel Eyen, turn it this way, turn it that way, same gematria. How can it be? They have to be the same thing. Oneg means one thing, Nega means the other, the opposite ends of the spectrum. As the Sefer here says, Ein b'toiva gadol min ha'oleg, ve'ein b'ra garua min ha'nega. So we can decide. That's the same thing. Okay, we'll say drushes that, you know, you have to go down instead of going up. We'll make those drushes. But it just like the kasha is a kasha. I mean, the kasha is a pliyat subah, because what the Sefer Yitzir describing the Bria Sa'olam is that whether you take the energy of the Ayin and the Nun and the Gimel and you create an Oneg, or whether you create a Nega, which is the deepest type of a wound because it's not superficial to the person. This is beyond Adam already. Nothing grew in this world. Until man was created, nothing was still dead. It was still dead. It wasn't tohu vavohu, but it was still dead.
Is it Nega physical?
A Nega is physical. So let's explain.
Oneg is not.
What do you mean physical? Something you can see? You can't see Chol? You can see it. What you don't see is the Oneg Shabbat.
For us, it's conceivable, or is he seeing something spiritual?
So let's explain it. You know, by the way, I mentioned before that the Gemara says, according to one opinion, that Moshe Rabbeinu wrote the whole Torah, including the psukim of Vayamos Moshe Eved Hashem. How can Moshe write a sheker? The Goy said, so the Gemara wants to say, well, maybe Moshe Rabbeinu didn't write that, maybe Yoshua wrote the last 8 psukim. So we know the whole Torah is written by Moshe. How can it be? So the Gemara Bava Basra has a diyut as to how this works. Comes the Goy, famous Vilna Gaon, and he says that, like Hashem, that Moshe Rabbeinu wrote it, but he wrote it in scramble. Yeah. The Osios were not the way we read them, Yavas Shem Moshe, that Eved Hashem. The Osios were, who knows what, the periods were in different places, the spaces were in different places, there were a bunch of Osios, maybe they were even turned around in a different way. It was all written by Moshe, every Os of the Torah was written by Moshe. Yoshua, after Moshe Rabbeinu died, said, oh, I know what these Osios means, and he cracked the code. So says the guy. I wish he would have told us like what it said before. We don't know what it said before. You have to go to like a Arachim seminar or something. Figure out like what did it say before. But the Oneg so let's understand this. That's the pshat, that you could take an Oneg and you could take Nega. Like it could say Vayama Shem Moshe, it could say something completely different. Those are oisius. Oisius have an energy. With the energy, you can do to how could the same energy have Moshe alive and Moshe dead? How could the same energy of the Oisius have Oneg and Nega all the same letters of the same energy? So the Pirush HaDvarim is like this, if I understand it correctly. That you know, here's how it works. Nega Tzarasi. Tazriya Matzayra. Hard Masechta. The guy. Difficult but let's say there's two, to make this easy, let's say there's Sapachas and the Baharas. Which is worse? Sapachas. Baharas, Bahir, it starts to shine. Sapachas, Safiach, it starts to spread. You know, well, So guy wakes up in the morning, Nega nearly. Uh-oh, there goes my day. There goes my week. There goes my month. Maybe maybe I'm going to have to go chutz l'mach and I can't go to work. Maybe I can't be with my family. Maybe, wow. Keneged nearly b'bayis. Hagav the guy's a tzaddik because the Rambam says, go quickly into the bathroom, just get rid of it. Put a Band-Aid on it and you're tougher. But you're not allowed to do that. You're over an essay, you have to go to the Kohen. The Herald Kohen shows it to the Kohen. Nega nearly. Looks like a Nega. Right? It's not easy to have a Nega tzaras. You know, a guy walks into a party and he has a tzaras. He has to Tameh Yikra. Hello, everybody, stand back. I'm Tameh. Tameh, everybody cleared away. This is Tameh Yikra. He has to say everywhere that he goes that he's Tameh. But if it's you can imagine something. Tameh Yikra. You know, where's got the sweatshirt? You know, Tameh. Tameh.
Scarlet letter, yeah.
Okay. What do we do? The Kohen keeps a watch on the Nega, Nega nearly, maybe Babayis, Nega nearly Babayis, and he sees that it becomes all the different tzaras Bameresi. Starting to get whiter. White is the simon of Tumah. It gets a little bit white. I'm sorry, like, you know, this is getting worse. You know, it gets a little whiter, you're really bad. Even whiter, all the different, lavan kishele, all the different levels of white, tabe, more tabe, says the Torah, surprise, hafach kulei lavan, let's say it turns completely white, boy, am I in bad shape now, tahar. So, hafach kulei lavan tahar was exeris hakasav. If the simon of Tumah all of a sudden becomes the simon of Tara, you go from, oh no, it's white, to praying that it should become more white. It's a funny talich that a person is going through, right? From oh no to please let it be more white. Havach kulei lavan Tarahu. Because Rabbi Yaakov, I believe the Gemara says, all kinds of drushes. Ein ben David ba. But Mashiach doesn't come out. Shetapach kol ha bedina levinus. Kol ha-malchus levinus. Bedina levinus. Until everything becomes apokar, everybody's got to become an apokaris. The zim ha'avach kulei lavan Torah. It's got to get really bottomed out here. You got to get really bad. So, Ein ben David ba sheyichlu shtei batais me Yisrael. Ben David's not going to come until Ben David is not going to come until we lose Shtei Malchios. Yesh Oibri Malchus Kuna Malchus Levia. Yesh Oibri Malchus Hanossi Malchus HaBeistin. There's got to be destruction. Shneimar Xeris HaKosuv, but the Xeris HaKosuv is teaching us something. Alavan of Gemara. Hafach Kulei Lavan Tarahu. I'll add one myself. Tchias HaMesim doesn't happen until a person dies. Is that my Kiddush? The plant doesn't grow until the seed rots. Hafach kulei lavan tarahu. So, what's happening over here is as follows. You know, like you imagine a person has some type of a deep virus. You don't even know you have a virus, but you start feeling lousy, and you start feeling weak, and you start feeling tired, and, you know. Okay. Sometimes you know, like you feel like you have permanent, something's wrong. It feels like a permanent weakness, you know. And then something sprouts. This is, by the way, true medically also. A lot of times what you're seeing is an, I have a virus. That's the bad news. But on the other hand, it's something from the inside trying to get out. There's this virus dibuk inside of you trying to break out of the body. And the simon is, there's such a thing. I have a friend in Australia, so he tells me that he came to Los Angeles on a trip, and he just like it broke out in hives. So it was okay, you know, more hives, more Los Angeles, the pollution, and this, he's allergic to that, allergic to this. And went took antihistamines and was sleeping. He had business to do. He's an architect. He had a convention to go to, everything to go. So this kid had his hives. Was covering was all just extremely uncomfortable. He took this medication, that medication, couldn't sleep at night. So somebody recommended he goes to this acupuncturist. So he goes to an acupuncturist, and the guy with the hives, you know, it's his specialty. He's a hive specialty. So the nightmare, right? Like, sits up in a chair, and he's putting here needles, there needles, here needles, there needles, and his ears needles, everywhere needles, needles, needles. And he doesn't feel a thing. He's sitting there, he doesn't feel a thing. And he's describing to me that he's looking at this big clock in front of him. He's all looks like a voodoo doll, you know. And he looks, and after 2 minutes, he starts to feel a tingle. And after the guy says, "How are you doing?" So he's okay. I'm feeling a tingle. Good, good. So after 5 minutes, he's in pain. And the guy's good, good. and after 10 minutes, he's screaming in pain. Another minute. After he's screaming, he was so in pain. He takes out the needles. He says, "Within 24 hours, the virus will come out of your body." Well, that's nice to show you. So you want to look this guy up, right? The virus will come out of your body. Okay, he walked in with the hives, walked out with the hives. Middle of the night, 1 o'clock in the morning, from nowhere, he gets like a horrible toothache. Okay, he's going to have to see a dentist in the morning. He's in such pain that by 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, calls the emergency. The only guy who's up in the middle of the night, the emergency dental thing, comes in. He says, the guy starts yelling at him, "What are you waiting for? You've had this abscess for months." Takes out the abscess, finishes that up in the middle of the night, no more hives. Okay, a gewaldige story about acupuncture. A gewaldige story, I would never do this, by the way. Never. No way. But just a good story anyway. But the hanimshel mevueres, that the pshat is that something from the inside has to come to the outside. So, and the more it comes out, the worse it is. Ad shehafach kulei lavan tarhu. This is the mashal. Ad shehafach kulei lavan tarhu. There can come a point where it gets so bad that everything from the inside came to the outside. It's all surfaced, and now it's all going to go away. So the biggest siman of tumah becomes the biggest siman of tara, paraduma. It's just an amazing thing. So it takes Rabbi Yochanan and the Amoraim at that time, and at the time of Rabbi Yochanan, which was an amazing time, the return of Eretz Yisrael after the Golus, the return of Rabbi Yochanan, Reish Lakish, going to Tveria. Looking at Eretz Yisrael anew, like, what happened to Eretz Yisrael? What happened to Eretz Yisrael? What happened to the Mekomos HaTorah? They weren't even allowed to go to Yerushalayim at that time. What happened? Ein ben David Ba, this Roman occupation that was just coming to a complete end at that time, is a hafach kulei lavan. Rabbi Yochanan saw that is a hafach kulei lavan. What happens when what's horrible on the inside surfaces to the outside and leaves the body? I'll tell you what happens. The nega turns into oneg. What starts off as a nega turns into an oneg. Is there any more nega than taking a seed, putting it in the ground, and watching it rot? Is there any bigger oneg than watching it sprout and grow fruit?
Make up the Mashiach. Make up the Mashiach.
Ikvus of the Mashiach. Mitzvah Bikurim. It worked. The process worked. Arami Oived Avi. Here in Mitzrayim. Down and down and down. Memta Shari Tumah. We have to go through. And come to Eretz Yisrael. The seed is mamish in the ground. Sprouting. Sprouted. Semach David Avdecha v'Heres Latzmiach. This is the Tzemach of Mashiach. Tzemach of Ben David.
That seems like such a pure type of destruction, and that it's part of the the teva way of being destroyed, where when examples like everyone becoming apikorsim, or we lowering ourselves in a ruchnius level.
Unbelievable.
It's very.
Rabbi Yitzchak says, is the Nega Gashmius or Ruchnius? So it's a Gashmius simon of the Ruchnius world, because on one level there's no difference. Like, it's a Chiddush Nifla, that not only will we, Rahman al-Islam, go through a Holocaust, Milchemes Gog uMagog. Rabbi Yochanan came along and said, not only that, there's a spiritual Holocaust too that has to happen. You think, okay, the Gashmius, okay, gas chambers, but spiritual Holocaust, assimilation. Maskilim, Messianic Jews, I mean, what the heck? This is all part of the Tzemach David Avdecha V'Heres Hatzmiach. It has to be Chayav to be. You can't skip this part. Ein ben David Ba. There are people that could skip it. Individuals. Dor Shekulei Zakai Kulei Chayav. Ad Nefach Kol Hamalchus Levinus. Minut. Apikorsus. Look, the Gemara Tzedakar, South Test, maybe a whole amud of Gemaras of the ruchniistic devastation, which is a nega on the highest level. Kinega lirali baboyis. This one's losing it. This one is poor. And this one's going up the tariff. And this one. Hafach kulei lavan. If it can bottom out, it can sprout. You know, it's like it makes sense even psychologically.
It's a 12-step program.
Yeah, if you don't,
Hit bottom. 12 steps, they say you got to hit bottom.
You got to hit bottom. You know, sometimes when you're also bottom, there's no place to go but up. You know, but I'm understanding it as a lay person. That I've seen over and over again. Even the worst type of psychological phenomenon, like personality disorders of the worst type. Somehow or another, if a person is a growing person, I'm not talking about, you know, like somebody got shot in the head, I'm talking about like the trauma, abandonment. It's so bad. It's just so bad what it does to a person. But you know what? There's a certain MS that a person can recognize at the bottom. If a person's open to that awareness, you can take the pain of that awareness, you can grow and become like something like you can become like so big, you know, like not just a little bit big, you know, or not just, you know, me too. It can become so big, like we always say, like Rav Nachman said, I passed the Baal Shem Tov at my bar mitzvah already because he wasn't bad enough. He didn't get down as low as I got, you know.
So people who have had near-death experiences come back.
Also,
yeah.
But the going through, I'm not recommending, you know, it's not a prescription. I'm just
We shouldn't be praying for it.
But yeah, it's not something we want, because it could be kulei zakai, kulei chai. We can go this way, you can go that way. You can go this way, you can go that way. But there's something, you know, nobody walks around praying for a nega. But the nega could be the biggest oneg. So what's happening here is here's the nekuda. What is Rabbi Yitzchak?
I'm just thinking the Arba Nichtasu Pardes. That was like they were totally, all of them were devastated, and they recovered and they responded
in different ways completely.
Devastation.
Devastation. The whole time was a time of devastation. So where is the shirish of Oneg Nega? Where is the shirish of Eyen Nun Gimel? It's in the deepest part of the neshama, in a place that's mechusa b'ayin ha'adam. Nobody even knows about that place of the neshama. It's an Ohr HaGonus. The deepest part of the neshama, Oneg says, the part that's connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ki ha'oneg Ki Oneg nimshach ba'adam mitzad hashayrish b'neshama. Oneg is going to come from the shoresh. Think of the plant, semach david, shoresh, the root. Think about where the root is. Oneg nimshach ba'adam. I always wonder, like, there's certain root vegetables, like beets. Whether like who was the first guy to try that? So I looked into it. I was wondering about it so much. The answer was it was a horse. So no person is going to eat something as a filthy, dirty root, rotting. So the horses were megala that yesh b'zeh mashu. It's a sharish haneshama. Where is the Ohr HaGonus? What is Geniza? Hidden, buried. In Cairo, like Geniza, buried in the lowest places. The Ohr HaGonus, Shorish Oneg Nimshach Ba'adav. Where does Oneg come to a person? It's accessing and processing. It's at the Shorish of the Shabbos Shalabala Me'asagas Adam, something which we can't even comprehend. Shu, which is Ohr HaNe'elam Bilti Musag Ba'olam Hazeh Klal. Something which is completely incomprehensible. It's an Ohr HaNe'elam. Incomprehensible to understand Ohr HaNe'elam. What does it mean? Ohr HaNe'elam. Can there be a light buried under the earth? It's impossible. A light buried under the earth. It's like dark. So this is the it's a Nega. The Ohr HaNe'elam is a Nega, which is the deepest part of the neshama. Oy vey, this was a good-looking seed over here. It's rotting, it's dirty, you throw water on it, yuck. Horrible. Nega, nearly baboyes. It looks like a Nega. It is a Nega. If you don't do this right, it's a weed. If you don't do this right, it's a chasar. But if you do it right, then the Nega, which is in the deepest part of the neshama, sprouts out as an Oneg. Hence it becomes whose job? Adam.
You have to nurture.
Adam to nurture the Nega and through the Oneg. So you're going to the Kohen is not just telling you
bad boy.
This doesn't look good. I'm going to send you for more tests. What he's saying is that you've got some work to do. Okay, so Chazal come and they darshan. Let's not take it superficially. Chazal come and they darshan. That what this tzaras is all about. Lashon hara, motzi, motzayra, motzi ra, motzi shemra. First of all, it doesn't say motzi shemra. It says motzi ra, motzayra, motzi ra. Think about the lashon. Motzi ra. Motzi ra. The ra is mifnei. You're motzi ra. That's the goyim. You're taking. Let's understand something very, very clearly here. You hear about that? If a person is talking lashon hara, if a person is a baal lashon hara, the worst kind of a person. It's not talking about somebody with a bad habit. It's not talking about somebody who's destructive, or it's not talking about somebody who's very like eating treif. We're talking about somebody who's got something wrong with their neshama. Like, why do you see bad in everybody? Like, why do you see bad in everybody? What's going on over here? Like, what's with you? It's not about. I'm not recommending learning programs. It's not about learning Sefer Chavetz Chaim. A lot of say this. You're not allowed to say that. I've said it over and over again. Like if a person is a baal lashon hara, if you don't get to the root of the issue, you can learn the book 50 times. You'll just learn how to talk lashon hara. You come up with a new way to talk lashon hara. Creative ways of talking. You find people sometimes that have read the Sefer, they're talking more lashon hara than everybody else. Oh, this is a toelis, that's a toelis, this is a toelis, that's a toelis. Like it knows those 7 toelis perfectly. I'm not knocking it. We should all learn the Sefer Chavetz Chaim. Chavetz Chaim wrote it. You should learn it. But it doesn't. The root cause of the whole issue is moitzi ra. There's something, some kind of a bad thing inside that we need to take care of. We could take care of it. It's not the end of the world. But if a person is constantly, seeing the choshech ha'pleit ha'tahoim, it means that the neshama, Creation of Kedusha, is hashomayim, is neshama. It's hashomayim as haaretz. Somehow or another, the shamayim did hit the haaretz. Well, there's something wrong with the neshama. It's Rabbi Elazar ben Arach, leiv toiv. Ezu derech shiver lo yadav, leiv toiv. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, royali. That royali b'dvarecha v'ivreihem. What's lost there? You're koilel everything. You're koilel shachay toiv and the Eyen toiv. Everything's nichlal in the leiv tov. There's something wrong at the root. There's something wrong at the root. Nega nira li babayis. Now, that's what. So when we're talking about that the Nega tzaras comes through lashon hara, we're talking about that there's a deep spiritual condition which needs to be fixed, and we're going to fix it this way. What does it say? That they came to Eretz Yisrael, and they saw Negoim in the houses, and they dug up the houses, and they found the gold from the Knanim. They found treasures. How does that work out? If you dig deep enough, you'll find that then what you thought was a tremendous chasar, you thought was a nega, can become an oneg. But to switch a nega to an oneg is Maisi Yedei Adam. That Maisi Yedei Adam is called Tiferes. So here's the interesting thing. Bereshis bara Elokim es hashamayim es haaretz. Kadosh Baruch Hu gave you the raw material of Chesed and Gvura. Here's a world but the world is not going to grow. Terem Yitzmach. Because there's no person here to create a Tiferes. We need Adam Arishon to create a Tiferes. When was Adam Arishon created? Friday for Shabbos. I call it Shabbos Kodesh. So he comes on Shabbos, and Tiferes Ato L'Yom Havanucha. Shabbos Toim L'Hoidos L'Hashem Tzadik Kataber Yifrach Magadlu Basecha Hashem Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbos. Right. So the Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbos is to take the Chesed and the Din, Chesed and the Gvura which HaKadosh Baruch created, and Hamtokas Hadinim with Tiferes. Comes the piyut and it says Tiferes Ota L'Yom Havanucha. Shabbos is all about this Tiferes. Oneg Kara L'Yom HaShabbos. And now you can take the same oisius that before was a nega. When is the most difficult time of the week? Erev Shabbos. It's all of the Gashmi sitting bottom. Says there. Arizal says Mesugel for Machlekes. Somebody told me that he doesn't like going into Shabbos this way. He's gonna like an hour and a half before Shabbos. He's gonna start looking Baber Center. He's gonna put a Karlbach tape on, and he's going to. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. It's just gonna make everybody nervous with the Karlbach tape because what he's so relaxed about, is the stuff that's under the refrigerator box. Take out the garbage. There's no easing into Shabbos.
Sure. Sure.
Okay. Maybe after your Makabel Shabbos, Halavai, we should try. But the point is that the Nega, this is the same very Yitzhira, that the Nega, it's up to us to do the Tzir Voisius. The Tzir Voisius happens on Shabbos. That's what comes and Oneg Kara L'Yom HaShabbos Kol HaMa'aneg Es HaShabbos Zoichel L'Nachala Believe it, sorry. So now you've accessed something which is Ma'aneg Es HaShabbos. You take the Shabbos which was given to you, meaning you're taking the Chesed and the Din, you're mixing it up on Shabbos. Toy. How do you do that, by the way? Let's just get it clear. Toy L'Hoidos L'Hashem, the first thing. The first thing is Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbos. The first thing is Toy L'Hoidos L'Hashem. Take an accounting of what you have. Isn't this good? Isn't this good? Do I have a family? Do I have wine? Do I have food? Did the Kadosh Baruch Hu do good on the Sheishes Yemei HaMaisa? Did I make it? Mishabbos l'Shabbos? Just take an accounting. Does my brain still work? A little bit. This is the first step. Comes David HaMelech. The very first step is Toiv L'Hoidos L'Hashem. Take an accounting. L'zamer l'shimcha el-yoyin. L'hagi b'boiker chastecha v'emunascha b'leilos. I can see the chesed of the yoyin, but I can also understand the emunah of the leilos. That's also part of the shir. The emunah b'leilos. When it was tough. Did I have a rough week? Yes. Do I have it? Tov lahodos l'Hashem. But now, look, as Rabbi Eliezer said, Tzadik katav ar yifrach. Tzadik katav ar yifrach. It's like such a good bushel, a tabar. Tabar is a palm tree. Like dam ve'esh v'sibrois ashad. You say the Haggadah. All the bakos were dam and esh v'sibrois ashad. You know, that's like a nuclear. What do you call that? Nuclear mushroom. Right? Sibrois ashad. It wasn't ashad. It was the worst possible thing. The worst possible thing. Dam ve'esh v'sibrois ashad. I'm not the science of nuclear mushrooms, but that's the worst possible thing. That's all. That's sibrois ashad. Talking about something which is worse than just bad. But it all comes down to hatava. It all comes down to hatava in Mitzrayim, out of Mitzrayim, for Klal Yisrael. So that's the Oneg. Okay, so let's just sum it up. So that's the Oneg, Kara L'Yom HaShabbos. That's why the Oneg comes from the deepest part of the Neshama. That's why Oneg is the same oisius as the Sefer Yetzirah of Nega, and Ein b'toiva k'may ha'Oneg, ve'ein bara k'may ha'Nega. How can it be the same oisius? The answer is Ha'aydohach. It's Mamish Ha'aydohach. And what's it called? It's called Shabbos. What's it called? It's called Oneg. What's it called? It's called Tiferes. What's it called? It's called Adam.
What's atar?
Atah.
Cloaked. Why is it cloaked?
Why is it cloaked? So, okay, I leave it with you. Tiferes. We're not doing with the Bria. We're using the Bria. We're not... The Asiya Asher Bara Lakim Lasais... Bria Yitzira Asiya Asher Bara Lakim Lasais is our job is to use the Bria in a way that it's a Tiferes. Take the paints, make a beautiful thing out of it. So you're not in the deep kishkas. It's a lavush. So everything that we're doing is lavushin al gabi lavushin al gabi lavushin. We're turning around the Yisarusa de Lasapta. Part of it is not to change the Bria, but to use the Bria. That's the
taking the letters and planting the
taking
energy.
the letters and planting it and changing it. That's all called. It's all a lashon of lavush. Okay, thank you very much. Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos.